So, here we go again with another Masters of the Universe Masterverse Revelation figure, and it's Stinkor. So this is one I've been looking forward to for a while. 3 out of the 4 figures in here I've been looking forward to a while. For the same reason, is that I don't have the figure in Classics. Well, 2 for the same reason. 2 of the 3. Because I do actually have the Classics version of Scareglow. And I actually think the Classics version is better, for reasons I'll get into whenever I actually buy that figure and do the review for that. So there's a teaser for that. I don't have Fisto in Classics, but I do have the Club Grayskull version. That's the Filmation cartoon version. I'm like, it's close enough. So, like, I do have the figure represented in that scale, but I would like to have this version as well, because it's pretty badass. The only one I'm kind of indifferent towards is Andra, because she's, like, a newer character, and don't come at me with that stuff where it's like she was in the Marvel comics or whatever, because, like, that's pretty much a completely different character. Like I think the only thing they had in common is, like, she's Tila's friend or something like that. So, yeah, it's, I actually didn't think the character was too bad on the show, so I wouldn't really mind having a figure of the character. It's just the aesthetic of the character doesn't really fit into, like, how I feel like He-Man figures ought to be, because she looks almost like a Star Wars character, you know? Like, I kind of feel like the He-Man character should, like, have at least some barbarian elements to them. Or, in the case of Stinkor, just be an ugly monster. And she's clearly not an ugly monster, because she's a pretty girl. And she doesn't really look particularly, like, barbarian-ish. So, it's but the character was okay. Like, I didn't really have a problem with the character. I just wish she would fit in with the look of the action figures a little better. But then again, I'd say the same thing about that version of Tila. Like I said, not fond of that Tila design. I liked the show. I'm not a hater on the show. I enjoyed watching it, but I kind of hated that Tila design, and like I kind of hated it for the reasons that, like, how do I put this? Like, I understand why they made her look like that. It makes sense story-wise, but that still doesn't make me like it anymore on, like, an aesthetic level. See, like, I think that she looked like that because she didn't really want to be Tila anymore. She didn't want to be that person. So, yeah, she tried to be somebody else. And, of course, what wound up happening, spoilers, if you haven't watched it, is that she wound up becoming the sorceress. She had to embrace her destiny anyway. So, the design of Tila as the sorceress I loved, and I will buy that figure if they make it. And I will buy the classic Tila as she appeared on that show, because I like that figure, but I won't be buying the shaved side of the head Tila, just because I've no interest in it. Sorry. So that's one, like, unless somebody gifts it to me, and I get it in the mail or something, or, like, don't look forward to a review of that one. It's probably not going to happen. I forgot to look over the package before I opened it. I'm getting sloppy these days. I guess I just haven't had enough to do lately as far as these go. I've fallen out of the habit, and I wasn't particularly good at that habit anyway, was I? So, but yeah, it's a Stinkor, evil master of odors, and it's got a nice picture of Stinkor there, and another picture of him on the back, which you can see one of them, he's not wearing his gas mask, and the other one he is. But we'll get into that when we talk about the figure. And it says, what's that smell? It's overpowering enough to overwhelm a steaming pile of garbage. That can only mean one thing: Stinkor. Ever the outcast, the rancid wretch has disappeared from I'm still thinking about Scareglow. Has disappeared from Skeletor's side, only to be found hoarding ancient artifacts in his putrid pigpen of a playout. I need more sleep. In his putrid pigpen of a hideout, emanating odors foul enough to bring any hero to their knees. Never underestimate the savage stench of Stinkor. Tripping over words here. So anyway, here's Stinkor out of the package so we can get a little bit of a better look at him and his accessories that he comes with, which looks like he comes with an alternate head and 2 alternate hands and a shield. No gun this time for anybody looking forward to getting Stinkor's gun that he came with in 2000X. But 2000X fans will be happy to see that he did come with the alternate head. So let's go ahead and get these hands out of here. So this is an open flat hand, and this is a gripping hand, which I'll probably wind up putting that onto the figure because I like having gripping hands. It's got, on the figure, it's got an open hand. Sorry, that was a little loud. An open hand and a closed fist. So let's get that out of there. And he's held in with these damnable rubber bands. With reviewing the Action Force figures here recently, I'd been spoiled in that those didn't have any rubber bands or twist ties or anything holding them in the package. And then when I did the Doctor Strange Titan Heroes 2-pack, those just had the paper ties, little twine-like things, which I don't mind those so much, but I'm not crazy about them. I like them better than these. The tabs. Oh, I hate the tabs. The tabs are the worst. I would rather they be zip-tied than tabbed. God, that is broken. I don't even care. Alright, so we got Stinkor out of the package. And then we got one more accessory left in there, and that is his shield. And this is, of course, as with the original Stinkor, this is based on the Castle Grayskull shield. It's not an exact 1-1 match, but it's still recognizable as such. And then we got Stinkor himself. And again, I mainly was excited about him because I don't have the classics version of Stinkor. So this will give me a Stinkor that can stand with those figures. It's not like, you know, the exact same as that one. It's not in the classics motif, but it's in scale enough. I think it would work really well. In fact, I got He-Man over here. Let me grab He-Man real quick, and we'll compare the two next to each other. So this is my Super 7 Ultimate He-Man and Stinkor. And you can see Stinkor is actually a little bit bigger, but it's okay. I don't mind the villains being a little bit bigger than the heroes sometimes. He's going to tower over the villains that he's standing with, though. I suspect the reason he's so big is probably because they're going to share these parts with Beastman. But yeah, you can look and see how huge his hands are, like, compared to He-Man's hands in the classics. Like, I'll try to get them a little more next to each other. But even then, I have Man-at-Arms here from Revelation. And, you know, he scales about the same size as that He-Man. But yeah, you can compare the hand size on them and, like, look at the mitts on that guy. So yeah, I gotta imagine that this buck is gonna wind up being used for Beastman. I gotta imagine that's the plan. I don't think it's the same one as the Revelation Beastman because he's ginormous. But yeah, got a lot of good details on here. I'm pretty sure this is probably the same loincloth that He-Man came with. But I'm not getting up a third time to get that Revelations He-Man. I probably should have just had him at the outset or grabbed him while I was up already, but oh well, whatever. And I'm pretty sure these are the same clawed feet that are on Skeletor. So, got some reuse of parts there. And we got the oxygen tanks on the back, and they do not seem to be removable. They look like they're glued on. It looks like that the straps that hold them on here, or clamps, or whatever they are, it looks like those are part of the plastic that the tanks are in, so that's actually orange paint. And the vest itself, the armor breastplate, that looks to me like it's orange plastic with like kind of an orange pearlescent sheen to it. So let's take a look at the head sculpt. And this is an all original head sculpt. It is not a reuse of any Merman figure. And it looks great. I really like the head sculpt. So that one's really cool. And then if you're in a 2000X kind of mood, you can swap it onto the second head sculpt, which has a gas mask. And there we go. There's what that looks like. And he looks a little bit more like he's under the influence of certain chemicals. But he is voiced by Jason Mewes, so I guess that makes sense. I'm going to put the unmasked head on back on there, because I'm old school, and I'm going to want to have him unmasked on my shelf. And then, of course, the weapon he comes with is this shield, which it looks to me like it's the same type of strap system as He-Man. So that means I might have a hard time. Nope, I didn't. I was able to get it into this gripping hand just fine. I was worried I might have a hard time with that, and I would have to switch to the flat hand, but no, he grips it. And speaking of gripping hands, I'm going to go ahead and switch this to the gripping hand, so that later on, I can maybe see what I can do about giving him a rifle. So, I got a 3D printer recently, and that's been occupying a lot of my time. And you can see some of the stuff that I printed out, which, here's a little Christopher Reeve head that's supposed to fit onto McFarlane's Superman figure, which, of course, I don't have. I only have that Batman. That's the only McFarlane superhero figure I have. But, you know, maybe if I see Superman out in the wild, I might buy one just to put that head on him. Who knows? But I tried to scale it up for a 12-inch figure, but unfortunately I scaled it up too much, and I feel like this is more like the size of a Mego 14-inch superhero figure. So, I don't know, I might try to put that on a Mego. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. But yeah, I'm trying to print out a third one now that hopefully will be proper 12-inch scale. So I could even print him out a rifle if I can find a file for the Grayskull rifle, and then he can have an accessory. But I'd probably want to blow it up a bit since his hands are so freaking huge. Like, I don't think he could hold, like, a standard 80s He-Man accessory. I think that would just rattle around in his hands, something awful. But maybe I could just thicken up the handle. Maybe I could just, like, increase the thing, the whole overall size of the thing, and that would work. I don't know. But I kind of feel like he should have come with a rifle. I don't know if he came with one in the show or not. I don't remember if he used a rifle in the show, but it still would have been a nice bonus for the fans, for those of us who remember, you know. And they've got some 2000X figures come out in Origins, which I was pleasantly surprised about, because I was under the impression that the higher ups at Mattel considered that line kind of a failure. But I guess enough of them are gone now, or they've got softer feelings towards it, where they're like, well, we might as well go ahead and try it now. So anyway, Stinkor definitely gets a recommend for me. This is a great figure. I oftentimes get somebody in the comments when I make a video on the Revelations toys talking about how, like, they hated the show, and I don't really care. You know, whether you like the show or not, I think these are good figures. You know, that's, to me, the important thing. Like, I bought action figures based on Batman and Robin, even though I thought that was an awful movie. But, you know, they might have a cool Batman figure or a decent Mr. Freeze. You know, I've got, like, a 12-inch figure of Arnold as Mr. Freeze. So, you know, like, I've got a lot of stuff from movies that aren't particularly very good. So to me, like whether I liked Revelation or not, and like I said, I actually enjoyed it fairly well. I like having the figures from it because they're good figures. But it could have been a show that I absolutely hated, and I probably would have still bought those figures because I just kind of feel like they're good He-Man figures in general. Now, like I said, I won't be buying that Teela, but it's not to do with anything how I feel about the show. You know, like I said, I kind of feel like that Teela design makes sense for the story they were telling, but I just don't like it in an aesthetic way, so I won't be buying that figure. On the other hand, a character like Stinkor, who's barely in the show, like, I think he looks really cool, and even if I didn't like the show, it would not stop me from buying this figure. He does not stink. He just smells like a regular action figure. So, I keep meaning to look up that thing that I saw on Facebook about how you could treat your Stinkor action figure to make him stink. And I think that more applied to Origins, but I think I could probably get it to work on the Revelations figure. But I'm going to have to look that up. I imagine it involves patchouli oil, because Stinkor was supposed to smell like patchouli oil. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Tell me what you think about Stinkor and what do you think about Masters of the Universe Revelations. I'm sure somebody is going to come in there and be like, I hated that show. It stinks. Because like I said, every time I do a video that has to do with one of these figures, they just always want to post about that. And that's fine. You know, you guys can talk about how much you hate the show all you want. It doesn't really bother me. So, oh, there went some thunder. So anyway, I'm going to move on to my next figure, and that'll be an episode that will be up probably in the next few days. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.